Everybody hates me, until they need me. What professions are examples of this? When I was a janitor, I got a lot of hate for knocking out my 8-hour day in 4 individual hour-long chunks of effort. I was always available for spills and got extra work done every day, but spent another 4 hours, basically chilling, and management not once got on my case. The other employees despised this, until the customer's colostomy bag somehow ruptured in the bathroom. From that day forward, none of them gave a F if I was just hanging out on my phone. Proper time management. If everything is in order, you are on call. Cleaning is a form of maintenance, and maintenance needs to be on a schedule to get it all done. Salute to you. I appreciate janitors. The U.S. Coast Guard for fishermen and boaters. Usually, there's a pretty good working relationship between them, but some hate the Coast Guard for the various inspections they do. But the USCG is also the ones who will come out there in a storm to rescue them. Today I learned, people hate the Coast Guard. They're like military police, and you don't have rights on the water, like you do on land, with normal police. They're generally good and responsible, but I also understand why people have negative feelings toward them. Plastic surgeons. My uncle is a plastic surgeon, and he does only reconstructive stuff, fixing burn victims' faces, and stuff like that. But when people ask him what kind of doctor he is, and he says, plastic surgeon, they usually kinda scoff. It is often forgotten, but plastic/cosmetic surgery got a big start in the aftermath of World War I. There were plenty of vets with horrible disfigurements that were met with horror and revulsion, returning to civilian life. The operations they took to repair/replace lost jaws, eyes, bones, etc. were attempts to let these vets able to enjoy some normalcy in society. Yeah, there are before and after pictures out there of early plastic surgeries, and it's genuinely amazing to see what the pioneers of that discipline were actually capable of, considering the tools that they had to work with, and the fact that they were just kinda figuring it out as they went along. Lawyer here. The expectation that, because you are a lawyer, you know everything about every law everywhere. In reality, most lawyers are highly specialized. I thought you guys all just put on a nice suit, sat back in your chair, and answered any question with, "It depends." Effing this. The amount of times I hear, "But you're a lawyer." Yeah, I do software sales negotiations and privacy stuff. I don't know how to get you out of your DUI, and you shouldn't have been drinking and driving in the first place. IT, not the clown. Yep, you get everything in order and pretty much humming along. They say, "What are we paying you for, if you are just sitting there?" Shit goes haywire. They say, "What are we paying you for, if you can't keep the stuff from breaking?" I tell people that what you want is to see your IT people sitting around, doing nothing. When you see them scramble, then worry. Pretty much. They're there to set things up, and keep them running smoothly, so shit doesn't hit the fan, and to sort things out, when it inevitably does anyway. The higher the ratio of them doing nothing, to them working hectically, the better they are. Lawyers and mechanics. You want to have a good one of each, but you never want to have to call either of them. Finding a good mechanic will 99% of the time save you the most money out of most of these answers. Finding one that's skilled, but doesn't rip you off, is an effing godsend. I didn't realize this until I married someone whose father is a mechanic. The amount of bullshit I no longer deal with is unbelievable. If you find a good mechanic, don't piss them off, nickel and diming them. My friends think I'm crazy for driving to a mechanic that's 45 minutes away, but this shop has only done me good. Brought my car in for a suspected problem, they found no issues, never charged me. Another time, car was having major issues. After a day at the shop, mechanic called me and just straight up told me the $3,000 it would cost to repair the car would be better off on a down payment instead of repairs that may or may not fix the issue. I like they pay their staff by the hour too. Germany. God damn it. Okay, new funniest answer so far. First one that made me genuinely chuckle. Brit here. The wars were a bit rude, not gonna lie, but damn if they don't know their engineering. Referring to the wars as a bit rude is the funniest and most British thing. I scrolled a long time and didn't find it. Fast food workers. They're the butt of every demeaning comment about a lack of achievement or the reason why minimum wage shouldn't be raised, blah, blah, blah. But those people get real quiet once they're ordering their Big Mac. It wasn't fast food, but was still a cashier job. Had a woman point at me and tell her kid that if he didn't go to college, he'd end up like me, working at a dead-end job. I was 17 and in high school, hadn't even had the chance to go to college yet. A customer was once pissed at us for screwing up his order, and, exasperated, exclaimed, "I guess that's why you work here, huh?" I responded with, "I'm 16, which is not half as clever as I wish I had been in retrospect, but still was enough to shut him down a bit." Now looking back decades later, I really hope that Ahold reconsidered his anger. I can't imagine screaming at teenage kids, because I'm angry, that my fries are lukewarm. Dentists for sure. I'm a dentist for kids. I am hated by parents and children. I had only a few fillings done, as a child, and it was fine. But I didn't realize how much fear and anxiety was in the world for dentists. It wears you down after a while, and a lot of dentists get burned out, because no one appreciates you and how hard of a job it is. You kind of have to give no F at a certain point, because people need you, but then you have to hear shit, like, "Hey, good thing I'm getting this filling today, so you can make your boat payment." When in actuality, you are getting paid $182 for that filling on a child, while the mother is crying in the corner in worry, which barely pays the overhead of running a practice, while you have $500,000 in student loans. You do a good job, and then the parent says, "Let's get out of this horrible place." Adults say to me, "I hate the dentist." And I say, "Well, I am a pretty nice person." And then they say, "Oh, not you, just I hate everything you do." The world is less tolerant of discomfort, and I think dentists need to use more sedation for treatment. But then people won't want to pay $500 for it. So, they will still hate us. I'm so sorry. I used to be an assistant and I felt so bad for my dentist. It's hard, when 90% of people you see, say, "Oh, I hate dentists / coming here." I hope you have some mental health support if you keep it. It's a tough job. My dentist always had success with repeat patients, by letting them choose the music, movies, and working out hand signals. "If you put your hand up, I will stop. If you need more suction, because the water's pooling, point at your mouth, and my assistant will get it." He also let people hold their own little suction tube, while I use the big suction, to help them feel like they have more control. Not sure if this would all work for kids, but over time, it really helped build a positive experience and relationship with the returning patients. And patients did return, 'cause they'd never had that kind of experience at the dentist. Tow truck drivers. I don't hate tow truck drivers, I hate exploitative and predatory towing companies. Don't know why this isn't higher on the list. This is a perfect example of the description. Absolutely nobody wants their car towed, until the day that they need somebody's car towed. All the trades guys. They're so expensive. Until that plumber shows up at 2 a.m. to prevent the sewage backup. Or the electrician that fixes an overloaded breaker panel, preventing a fire. Or the carpenter who builds the room for your toddler, so you can get some sleep, and maybe some sexy time. Definitely tradesmen. The plumber who came to my house at midnight on Christmas Eve to stop the waterfall of water gushing into my basement was worth every one of those several $100s I paid him. Lawyer is going to be the most common answer to this question, by far. But I suppose any licensed service provider could fall into this category, given the right context. Plumbers are another good example. Everyone thinks they're scum and crooks, until the washing machine breaks down. Electricians, contractors, locksmiths, etc. They all fit this mold. Unless you work with them daily, you're not going to be seeing them very often. And you're only seeing them when there's a problem, so you're primed to be upset by the time they even show up. Psychologically, you associate the plumbing issue with the plumber, when ironically, the plumber is there to fix it. Everyone wants to shoot the messenger. IT people and network security professionals are another classic example of this effect. People are very quick to look down on people who work retail or in the food industry. People openly disrespect sanitary workers, and even USPS and DMV workers, but our society couldn't function without any of them. Honestly, though USPS and DMV workers are almost always rude, and because the US loves to make simple things complicated, all the stupid rules at both the places are almost physically painful, and if I had to deal with it for 40 hours a week, I would probably be rude too. Lineman. Been called a lazy, overpaid, drug addict by old men I don't even know. God forbid we go grab lunch or a coffee. As a low-voltage electrician, you should know, we look up to you guys. Because you're high up on poles. High up in the air. So, we gotta look up, to see you. Keep it up. Up in the air. On the pole. Thanks. Truck drivers. Everyone is either scared or annoyed at us, but good luck buying anything without truckers. Was gonna post this as well, nothing would get anywhere without us, but I get 50 drivers flipping me off, telling me to kill myself, when I need 10 seconds of a clear lane to blindside, back into the 7-Eleven, you're all trying to buy shit from, that currently is in my trailer. Garbage collection workers. Without them, our streets would literally be overflowing with refuse, but people still talk down to them, like they're less than human. Do people hate garbage collectors? The job, yes, absolutely, but those who do it, are far stronger people, than I am. It's one I could never do myself, so, kudos if you are one of those people, and thank you for picking up my waste every week. I was an our crisis worker, for a while. Every time I mentioned my job, it made people very uncomfortable, no one wanted to talk about my job or anything. But when I showed up, at all hours, to the call, everyone there was so happy to see me. Strange experience. Teachers. Along this line, lunch ladies. I am not trying to serve you crappy food. I am serving what the district tells me to. I am not allowed to add salt to anything. Bitch and moan all you want, but a lot of them would go hungry if I didn't feed them twice a day. For the paltry amount I make, please stop complaining. You're lazy, you're liars, you're indoctrinating and brainwashing my child, you deserve poor pay, poor benefits, and also, I expect you to be incredibly highly qualified, an expert in all subject areas, be on call 24/7, if me or my child ever needs anything, and if someone shoots up the school, I fully expect you to be ready to die for my child. Therapists. I'm a licensed therapist. Even in this comment thread, someone called therapists glorified life coaches, which couldn't be further from the truth. We are significantly more qualified. Everyone wants to shit on therapists, until someone gets hurt, or hurts themselves, and suddenly, mental health matters. They should have had a therapist. Insurance or tax people. I'm sitting in an insurance class right now, RIP. Scrolled too far to find this. I'm the bad guy all the time, until I get you reimbursed for the cost of some expensive ass nonsense, and then I'm the hero. Until renewal. Realtors. Everyone hates them, until they dig up some serious dirt on a property, and help you dodge a bullet. The caveat is, the barrier to entry to become a realtor is way too low. Bad realtors are on every corner and can cost you big, but a good realtor is worth their weight in gold. Because of the low barrier to entry, and the lack of a mechanism to identify the good ones, most people encounter the bad ones. Most people end up with realtors who pocket their commission without doing anything. Please. Joke about calling them pigs or whatever, but until you feel in fear and actually need them, do you appreciate the police's existence? Edit. I can't tell who is actually angry at the police or is taking this lightheartedly. And though nobody is attacking or anything, I just want to clarify I'm British. Haven't had too many problems with the police to be honest, nor have I had to call them much, despite living in London. Locksmiths, or people in general, who know how to pick locks, or how they work. Last time I got locked out of my car, and called a locksmith to come get me back in, he took twice as long to come as he said he would, and tried to charge me 3 times the price he quoted over the phone, because of the model of my car, which I had told him over the phone. I have a 30-year-old basic Toyota, nothing fancy, to make the job more difficult, either. He was counting on me being desperate and having no other options. Little did he know, my spouse was only 30 minutes away, with an extra key. I just didn't want to interrupt her workday, because she gets stressed easily. Well, I called his bluff. I'm not paying $300 for a $100 job. Needed a locksmith, and still hated the locksmith. Thanatologist, embalmers, any funeral workers really. Thanatologist? Sounds like a religion that worships Thanos. Everyone likes to forget we exist, until they have a dead grandma on the floor, and no idea what to do. Then, I show up with my little cot, and a pile of answers. People literally say, ew, when I tell them my profession. One unexpected death later, and they're thanking me for my service. People act like all funeral directors/morticians are crooks. Some are. And, Unless you're in the middle of nowhere, and there's only one funeral home in 100 miles, you don't have to give the upselling shitheel your money. Stand up and walk out. Call their competitor, and describe your experience. Watch them, get you top-notch service. We'll go fetch grams for you, no charge. People like that deserve to be run out of business. Also, don't feel awkward about price shopping. It's really common, and a good idea. I've been scrolling forever, and haven't seen this yet. Scientific research. During downtime, we routinely get made fun of for doing pointless things, like dropping balls down a waterfall, or making people listen to sounds. Our staffing is small, and we're chronically underfunded, which only gets made worse when some guy in a basement thinks he knows more about climate change than someone with a PhD, and politicians claim vaccines cause autism. But then a catastrophe happens, and suddenly everyone looks to us to churn out answers at 300% speed. Child protection caseworker. People generally hate us and vilify us, but man, when you need us, you need us. Most people genuinely do not understand the work that we do. I work in Australia, and I have been chased out of houses with knives, punched, had abuse hurled at us, had my kids threatened, the whole shebang, but we never stop trying to keep kids safe. Can I just say, as an abuse survivor, thank you so much for what you do. Anyone trying to protect kids is doing something so important. Nurses. A lot of people think they don't deserve pay raises, or think we're not overworked, or that not much education is required, but they don't realize a 12-hour shift is 13 hours with patient handoff. Most hospitals require a bachelor's rather than associates, and a lot of hospitals stick a nurse with 6 patients, which is extremely demanding, and also dangerous for the patients, and can result in a nurse losing their license if something goes wrong. Nursing is 100% either manual labor, plus critical thinking, or tedious charting. There is zero downtime for 13 hours straight. If nurses didn't advocate for their patients, nobody would. Doctors treat the illness, not the patient. I'm not trying to downplay the importance of doctors or anything, but if they actually had to take care of the patients they treat, the patients would be dead. Nurses are specialized in reacting to the needs of a patient, and identifying underlying causes quickly. Edit. People are interpreting this wrong. I'm not saying other healthcare professionals don't care about their patients or protect them, but doctors see 20+ patients a day in a hospital setting, and spend around less than 5 minutes around each patient in most cases. Yes, they are taking care of their patients all day long, but it's by orders, virology, etc. They are barely with the patient at all, unless something arises. My point is that nurses do nearly all of the direct medical care, and CNAs do a lot of the daily living tasks. This isn't the doctor's fault, it's just a symptom of our broken healthcare system. If the doctor is not in the room with the patient for 23.9 hours out of the day, how are they going to do anything for their patient without a nurse first inquiring on the patient's behalf? UX designer here. Every engineer thinks they know how to make an interface, yet the software or site they create is terrible, and they would rather accuse users of being dumb than admit their baby stinks. Game wardens. Nobody likes getting a ticket, or worse, for speeding on your snowmobile, or for shooting a turkey by 4 too close to the road, or getting a fine for having an open can of beer in your hand, in your canoe. Yes, seriously, or for getting a ticket for catching a fish with a license that's expired by a day, so on and so forth. But those same people will have their asses saved by the wardens if they fall and break an ankle while out hunting. They will come find you and cart your ass out of the woods in the worst possible spot and weather, no questions asked. But despite this, there are still people that don't like game wardens. I work for my municipality as a building inspector. We get a lot of hate because we enforce the building code, which can be very nitpicky, and people don't understand why they need to fix what they see as minor issues. They sometimes blame us for their project dragging on and costing more, but homeowners tend to be grateful when we catch major deficiencies and make the contractors fix them. Safety manager. Everyone thinks they're sissies that needlessly spend money and complicate things. Until someone gets hurt, or the company gets cited, then suddenly everyone wants to know what can and should be done to remedy the situation. Musician. I've gotten a lot of raises, eyebrows and shade for being a professional musician, but the moment there's a wedding or a funeral or some event, who are they calling? Artistic professions in general aren't viewed by many as real jobs, despite the fact that most people consume entertainment on a daily basis, and won't live without it. Quality engineering/control. Imagine the piles of shit, or number of recalls, you would see, without quality control. People in industry seem to be pretty upset that quality is making their life harder and pushes them away, until something goes wrong, then it's, why isn't quality fixing this? Never win. HR and safety. I do both jobs, for 2 oil field companies. I don't exist, unless people need/want something. I'm a bitch, until someone needs/wants something. I'm lazy, because I work in an office all day, but suddenly I'm the hardest working person, when someone needs/wants something. My job has made me hate people. I used to love working with people, now my phone rings or someone walks into my office, and I just hate all of them. I miss working out in the field, getting dirty and covered in oil. I'm grateful I got the opportunity to move up, but I hate the position I got stuck in. Doctors, the people so hated, that they've barely even shown up in this thread so far. All of the financial burden associated with the toxic healthcare industry is basically blamed on them, when they have very little to do with it. They go hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt, work their asses off in college and med school, work their asses off 80-hour weeks in residency, only start making money at 30, still have to work too much, and then get blamed for high prices and short visits, even though it's primarily their boss's fault, the healthcare administrators. Then they get sued, not the admins, who are constantly pushing them to see more and more patients, for less and less time. Career government employees/civil servants. Lately there's been a trend to revitalize government, or have someone outside the system come in and change things up. Most people don't realize everything that career government employees do on a daily basis to keep things running. People also don't seem to understand how an MPA works, and how you actually want people with a background in that area, and in government operations, to be researching and making policy suggestions, etc. People sometimes get so anti-career government employees because they see the public face of it, through politicians being elected with no actual experience, or people refusing to retire, when they don't realize how valuable the folks behind the scenes are.